Airport security personnel of Reddit. What is the weirdest thing you have seen inside the passenger's luggage? Neither of these were in luggage, but lady had McGriddles tucked into each armpit. They both fell when she was asked to raise her arms for the scanner. She thought food wasn't allowed through, so she was gonna smuggle them in her armpits. I asked a lady if she had anything left in her pockets. She proceeded to reach into her shirt, down into her bra, pull out a set of teeth, and pop them into her face. Not necessarily weird, but definitely interesting. There was a Halloween convention in town, and there were a lot of prop companies coming through. This one lady had fake body parts, brain, eyes, fingers, toes, intestines, a heart. Some of it looked very realistic, specifically the details on the fingers, toes and eyes. Half of the suitcase contained ears of fresh corn and half frozen bratwurst. Family picnic in the south, apparently. In college many years ago I had a part-time job demonstrating a dollar counting machine. They were relatively new then. Once had to fly somewhere to give a demo, and took my duffel bag full of $1 bills. The guy searching that bag called for his boss to come over. The boss was experienced enough to figure out that real drug dealers don't traffic in low-value currency, and he kept me from being arrested. Next time put glitter on the bills so they think you are a stripper, not a drug dealer. I was traveling with a buddy from Canada to France. We were big into one card game that required pennies. So my friend, the character that he is, brought a glove full of around 1,000 pennies, and without thinking, tossed it in his carry-on. Every security stop we went through, he had to dump out his glove of pennies, and then put them all back into the glove. The first security check we went through, him and I were both staring at the screen, wondering what the heck was in his bag. The way it was placed, it looked like an awkward metal dinosaur. My child once packed a Ziploc full of sand in her suitcase. Turns out on X-ray this looks like a bomb. Also turns out her sand was full of rotten seaweed and tiny little, dead, sea creatures. Opening that bag was like the bog of eternal stench. 3 airports we hauled that dang bag through, and then I made her throw it away. It was me. I found a taxidermy chicken on a trip, and had to buy it. Then I had to get her home. Well, she wouldn't fit in my suitcase, so I had to carry her in my arms. It was a really busy travel day, and that chicken amused everyone. Absolutely every person in line suddenly wasn't grumpy anymore. TSA all laughed, especially when she had to go through the X-ray. Passengers who were irritated at lines started smiling. I loved it. 10/10 would travel with a chicken again. So this is how I can smuggle cocaine into Los Angeles. Bought a wiener dog corkscrew for my fiance at a gift shop the same day as my flight. Threw it in my backpack and totally forgot to put it in my checked luggage. Noticed security grabbing my bag off the belt. They pulled out the corkscrew and I gasped and said, "My wiener dog." I must have looked genuinely concerned about that corkscrew because TSA guys decided it didn't seem like much of a threat and let me keep it. Shout out to those TSA guys for letting me bring my derpy gift home. Corkscrews have been allowed for years. The ones with little knives attached aren't allowed. I worked TSA. Things that stood out to me was a hookah pipe. It looked like an octopus. Then some lady put her dog through the machine. It looked like a turkey. A live spider. Passenger didn't know and wasn't large, but he opened his bag. It crawled out, and I screamed. Human ashes. Homemade adult toys. The woman gave me her business card. A live cat. Antlers with rotting flesh still on them. My favorite was a magician's bag. Alerted for explosives. He kept pulling bits out of pockets and showing me bits of his act. To distract you from the explosives, no doubt. I was flying domestic, as a late teen, with my sister and without my parents. My bag of stuff was inspected after the X-ray, and a bug, earwig, crawled out from the backpack and then under the desk out of sight. The agent said nothing, and I said nothing. Earwigs have taken up residence in the box that holds the keypad for the garage door. About once every 2 weeks and more often after it rains, I open the cover to the box only to have an earwig fall out. It's shocking every time. My mate's dad works doing outbound baggage scanning, and he said he regularly gets people going to Pacific Island countries like Samoa with lawnmower engines or scooter engines in their carry-on baggage. Stuff like that is hard to get in Samoa, lol. Not airport personnel, but my parents own a small agriculture business in Peru and travel there multiple times per year carrying different types of equipment in their luggage. One time they went and my sister went a week after them. My parents wanted her to carry around a chainsaw from Toronto to Peru. Apparently she got through fine in Toronto but obviously got some weird looks, but once she got to Peru they started interrogating her and wanted her to pay a huge fine to bring the chainsaw through. It was only when she started crying that they felt bad and just let her go. There's a lot of odd stuff found in checked baggage. Commercial fireworks, the mortars that shoot up in the sky and explode. Cops were involved. A skinned goat skull packed on top of clothing. It had obviously missed the plane. Sat for a day and that was a very bad day. Poorly sealed jars of rotting blended fish. Must be a delicacy somewhere. Undeclared firearms are fairly common. They don't necessarily pose a danger but there's a right and wrong way to transport them. I flew with an antique 12-inch cast iron skillet with a lid and 2 antique oil lamps with iron brackets, a mercury glass reflector in my carry-on. They were family heirlooms that I very carefully and skillfully wrapped in my sweaters and a long velvet skirt and lined everything with socks and bras. Yes, my packing skills are to be envied. I had to explain to the Tsar that I was not planning to use the skillet as a weapon and that the reflector was not the casing for a bomb while my bras were laying all over the table. Me yelling be careful with that, it's super fragile probably didn't help with my not a bomb plea. See, this is one of the reasons airport security is trash. If you can take over a plane with a skillet, you can take over the bloody thing without it. Crack pipe. He pulled it out of his pocket right before going into the body scanner. Airport police came and got him. A bag full of adult toys. Huge ones. The guy looked like a casual business traveler. About once a week a loaded gun. 9 times out of 10 it's an electric razor. But, every once in a while, it's an adult toy. Of course, it's company policy never to imply ownership in the event of an adult toy. I was the passenger. I was taking a pressure cooker and some spices to my sister that she left behind when moving out of state. In the interest of saving space in my luggage, I put the spices, the kind in glass jars with metal lids, inside the pressure cooker. I'd also found a pair of earbuds that belonged to her and chucked them in with the spices for an easy to hand off package. I was not surprised to find Tsar's note. I was a little put out that they confiscated my deodorant which had been in a sealed plastic bag with other hygiene supplies that were completely separated from the pressure cooker. Maybe they forgot to put on deodorant that morning. I once was traveling for business and I just brought all my Game Boy Advance SP games. It was like 2 Ziploc gallon bags filled with games and 3 portable systems. I checked my luggage bag so the only thing in my carry-on was crap tons of video games and systems. The Tsar stopped and looked through it, then brought over some other people to laugh at the guy traveling with nothing but 200 video games. I live in West Africa. Whenever we, Americans, go on vacation or back home, we like to bring back food items you cannot get here. I'm sure someone got a kick out of the turkeys and hams people were bringing back for the holidays. Not so here, but a friend of mine flew from Seattle to Cali. When he got to CA he stuck his hand in his coat pocket and realized he had a box or 2 of loose .22 shells in there. He had put the coat through the x-ray and they never even noticed. My brother and his friend borrowed a lawn gnome from my mom's evil roommate. They both heard the Tsar guy say, "Is that a gnome?" as it went through the scanner. No one said anything though. I worked at an airport as a line tech. A former baggage screener, pre-Tsar, told me of the time he opened a bag and found a human skull. The passenger was an MD and had all the appropriate paperwork to transport the skull, but it was still surreal. When my buddy went into a war zone to do his time on the ground, he left his skull to me in his living will. His mom went apeshit, but when he was questioned by the legal department over it, they couldn't find any law or regulation saying he couldn't do it. Flying out from spending time with my girlfriend in another state, I'm anxious and especially nervous while going through security, topped with being sad that I won't be seeing my girlfriend for another long period of time. I'm feeling a little weepy. My bag rolls through the scanner and I see the woman's face get all concerned and she calls over another agent to look at the screen. I'm thinking like, oh good, what now? She asks me, do you have a milkshake mixer in your luggage? I'm just taking it all in for a minute before it dawns on me. I have no idea what a milkshake mixer looks like, but I know I don't have one. My Hitachi magic wand isn't there. At this point, I'm feeling overwhelmed by everything and now I'm pretty embarrassed and there's more attention on me than I care for. So, I promptly burst into tears, sobbing, "It's a vibrator." TSA guy was like, "There's a huge metal stick on your carry-on," and giving me the "you naughty" eye. I told him it was a curling iron. He opened my luggage trying to embarrass me. Joke's on him. It was indeed a curling iron and I was only embarrassed by the dirty underwear I packed last minute. It was on the trip back. I recently flew to Wisconsin and in security check on the way home I got pulled aside. I had to laugh a little when the agent pulled a slab of cheese, my travel alarm, and my charging cables from the same zippered pocket. Oops. Wisconsin local here. This reminds me of the time I put a bag of cheese curds in my purse for snacking and forgot about it until the next day. 2 small dogs. I was waiting in the line at security behind a lady with 2 bags. She puts both bags down on the conveyor belt and opens one up to grab something. One of the dogs decided this was its cue to make itself known and popped its head out the bag. The security line was halted and she was asked to open the bags, revealing not just the first dog but another one. I really have no idea what was going through her head. My dad told me about a woman who tried to take a whole cooked chicken through the scanner in her hoodie pocket. She tried to play it off that she was pregnant, but was clocked on the x-ray as having a weird looking baby. If I recall correctly, she then tried to eat it as fast as possible, whilst it was covered in hoodie fluff. She could have taken it through as well if she'd just put it through with her luggage. I don't think people realize you can bring any outside food through TSA. I usually bring a full meal and a full box of cheese crackers. I'm not paying $38 for an airport sandwich and chips. Flying from Boston to Dallas, I got pulled over by TSA. He said something looked odd, told me to step over to another area where another guy searched my bag. Sure, no problem. He opened my bag and pulled out a giant solid chocolate bunny. He picks it up and yelled at the guy operating the machine, "Chocolate bunny." I work for an airline and got called to secondary baggage screening today because someone on one of our flights checked a bag with like a dozen different kinds of knives, including hunting knives, a butterfly knife, and a few punch knives. Also 2 airsoft guns, handcuffs, a whole bunch of The Walking Dead books, and an Xbox with a bunch of post-apocalyptic games like Fallout 4 and Left 4 Dead. It looked like he was unironically prepping for a zombie apocalypse tbh. The x-ray lit up like a Christmas tree. This is a really hard question to answer seeing as I work at one of the busiest airports in the US. Here's a list of my top 5. 1. A dead chicken. 2. A dead dog. 3. A bag full of liquor store pee that you'll only see sold at the liquor store. 4. A bag full of sex toys and lube. None of it in packaging or unopened. Like seriously, how much do you need? 5. A bag of moldy fruit. Stank up the whole checkpoint and the guy acted as if it were normal to allow fruit to ripen beyond consumability in your backpack. It was dang near wine, y'all. When I worked at a small regional airport pre 9/11, we just had Southwest Airlines come in and they were running a promotion, $39 from BWI Baltimore, Washington. Anyway, I got called over for a suspicious bag. I still remember it, a red and black check plaid with leather corners, old school luggage. It had no ID tag, so we decided to open it to see if anything in it could be used to get in it. Well, I put on some latex gloves and proceeded to open the bag. About 6 cockroaches ran out and 2 up my arm. As I continued to open the bag, I discovered a small electric hot plate, a beat up sauce pot, and like 2 pounds of used coffee grounds sprinkled over everything, and about 50 more cockroaches. Real hobo starter kit. Pretty odd stuff. Like this video, or this chonker will sit right on top of your house. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.